Okay, so steering rack time. So this Zoe had a nasty knock at the front end, which is not uncommon. If you've got a Zoe, front suspension is quite a weak point. You can have issues with the lower ball joints, which if I go around here, the ball joint, so behind the disc is this joint, sort of just in here, and this is the lower arm, this sort of triangular part. And they can be quite expensive to have replaced, but those ball joints are a real weak point, cause a knocking noise. And then this what's called a drop link, that one that's bolted in there and just bolted in there, so they can make a noise. But this Zoe had a real bad front end knock, and those parts were all replaced and it was still knocking. So I believe this to be the steering rack, so I've just swapped this over. This is the old one. So this is literally taking the steering input from the steering column and then pushing these track rod ends in and out, literally to move the front wheels. This is just purely mechanical, this part. All the sort of like assistance, power steering is done on the sort of steering column. Makes this a little bit easier, but I've just swapped this over. So where does this sit? So normally this Zoe would obviously have a motor stack in it and a bumper and all that kind of stuff, radiators. But we can see this quite well because nothing's there. So if we go a bit closer, I'm just going to sit on this motor. Oh, not the most comfortable. So here's our steering rack. So that goes up in and bolted onto the steering column, and then it's got the track rod end sticking out there. So that's on this sort of aluminium subframe, which is behind the front subframe, which is that one over there. So that part there would normally sit just in here, kind of an extension there, and then that's got the radiator on it, and then obviously the motor and yeah, motor stack in there. So that one's in there. And the other interesting thing is this is where the anti-roll bar is. You don't normally get to see this. So where I was saying this drop link is bolted on there, so this is all just loosely back because I've just been taking it all apart. So this is the anti-roll bar, which goes over here behind the steering rack, and literally goes along there and over there and to the other side. So this provides stiffness, but it's obviously connected to both wheels, so it's a kind of dynamic stiffness, as in when you're going around a corner, what's happening with one wheel is obviously relative to what's happening to the other wheel, hence giving it the kind of anti-roll effect rather than it just being like bolted down. You're getting that benefit, making the car more drivable. So I thought that was quite interesting. So, and here where your anti-roll bar is bolted down, so if you have an issue and you need anti-roll bar bushes changing, this is what they're changing, these rubber bushes. And there's like a rubber bushing, and then a like a folded metal part over there, and then that's bolted down either side, so it can move a little bit. There's obviously some movement in the rubber, but yeah, if it moves too much and starts knocking, yeah, then that's anti-roll bar bushes. Zoes don't tend to suffer from them, but other cars certainly can. And I've put a light in here. So normally on this bracket, the orange wire to the high voltage battery, and then the comms low voltage command wire will be here. And if we look down here, you can just see, is it better through there? Yeah, maybe we'll go right down, hold on. Yeah, there we are. So that's the high voltage battery, front end of the battery, and then yeah, where the cables go. Put a light under there so we can see. Yeah, and then those cables are normally connected onto that plate, and then come up and onto this plate, and then wiggle up and on, sort of come up and onto the motor stack. But this is obviously all out. So yeah, I've just swapped that steering rack over. It had a real knocking noise over the bumps, but yeah, lower arms were done, drop links were done, which can also cause it, but drop links tends to be not quite such a loud knock. Yeah, quite a fun job. I've never done a steering rack on a Zoe before, but it obviously makes it a lot easier when you've got it in this state that nothing's in there. So yeah, hope that's interesting. I always think it's quite cool when you don't normally get to see a car like this. You obviously wouldn't normally be able to see these parts, they'll be all buried. But there we are. So yeah, hopefully that will solve the knocking noise. There's not a whole lot else that can be causing it. So, but yeah, no, when you sort of wiggled the wheels side to side, it really caused that audible sort of knocking. I've tried to wiggle the old rack, but you need that force of having a wheel and the leverage to give it that noise. But yeah, it's kind of like a bit of play. So normally where this where this should always, you know, one in one out all move, yeah, it was really having quite a nasty loud knock, and you could really feel it through the steering wheel. So yeah, hopefully that will sort that out. So I just need to get this all bolted up. I need to look up torque settings, get this all torqued up, and then I can carry on rebuilding the stack. So yeah, I've started getting the first bits back together. Just try not to fall over anything. So I've got the reduction gear back on there. It's quite a bit of aluminium corrosion on it, so just cleaning up all the surfaces so it all mates sort of bang on. Yeah, and then I've got the control box over there, so that's got to be remounted. Got all these wires to do up onto the motor controller, so like motor wires. Get that stack rebuilt, air conditioning compressor goes on there. And once that's fully built, I can get that back in the car. So I hope that's interesting. Anything else you want to see while it's in this state, yeah, just let me know. But yeah, a little bit of a project, couple more things to do. All right, catch you later.